Well, hello, 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 and welcome. It is another great day that we give thanks for life. Welcome to Real Talk with Marsha Ann. And I'm so delighted that we get a chance to share this space. And we are committed to connecting each week. And you know the mission of Real Talk already. Real Talk is a space where I believe that we are all meant to ensure that we engage, encourage, and empower one another to transform lives to one of purpose, passion, and prosperity. I'm adding the flavor that I truly believe that greatness is in our DNA, and all we need to do is to activate it. And so the mission of Real Talk is to ensure that every time we meet, we have this in mind that the greatness that's within you simply needs to be activated. And this is a space that will encourage you to do exactly that. So, welcome to another episode. And this evening's episode surely has quite a little powerhouse of a sister that I am so thrilled that she has chosen and has said yes to joining us. If you are just joining, come on in. Welcome, welcome. Hello to the Real Talk tribe. Yes, thank you for that greeting. And in fact, we're all about supporting one another. I can tell you this, there's no way on the planet that we could make it to season 3 of Real Talk if I didn't have a faithful RT tribe, the Real Talk tribe. There's no way. And so I just want you to know that I appreciate you if you're joining us live on YouTube. If you are joining us via the Facebook group, welcome. And if you're catching this as a replay, welcome. What's important is that I really want to get your feedback on every single episode. If you're joining live, drop your comments in the chat. It's always helping those who are catching it for the replay as well. And on the actual channel itself, do share your comments about the impact that the Real Talk has had with you. Hello, you have entered the building and welcome. So this evening, our guest for this evening, man, what a transparent, wholesome, calm, cool, calculated kind of sister who I know we will all gain from, because we're all here to understand that life is truly a journey. And if all of us are true to ourselves, we would have admitted that along our life's journey, we have had impacts of potholes, craters, small ruts, massive ruts, and smooth driving. But we would be truthful if we've said some of the ruts have hit a lot harder than others. And it's about what we have learned while we're in the rut and while we're coming out of the rut and while we continue on this highway of life, which we're calling a journey. Oh, thank you. You've said every week gets better. It's every week gets so much more prayerful about who is it that should be a part of our Real Talk tribe and what is it that we believe God needs to have us here in this season. And I do believe that I'm going to invite center stage to the podium none other than Venice McCoy. So I want you to give Venice a warm welcome. I want her to know that this is a space where we really do engage, encourage, and empower one another. And so without any further ado, Venice is on. Have her feel welcomed
Hey,
because
everyone.
she is here to remind us about the importance of knowing ourselves first and the importance of embracing that healing is a journey. It's not a destination. We just had a little pre talk, and a part of our pre talk was to identify that we're always evolving.
Yes.
Who we were at 20 is certainly not who we became at 35 or 40 or 45. All right, I'm not adding any more multiples. But that's not who we are because we're continuously evolving. And if we become fixated on what we think our life should have been or ought to be, and not embrace that every aspect of our journey, every aspect of our story
Mhm.
is adding up to chapters in this book of life. Individual cover for ourselves. We can't be living life according to what someone said we ought to live life as.
Right.
We can't be living it in our own imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, we need to know ourselves first and embrace our healing journey. So, yes, you said gems are dropping already. Listen, this is going to be a gem dropping episode. I can tell you that because we've prayed and we have just asked God to use us, really, to just surrender and use us with great transparency. So, Venice, I believe I am throwing it over to you to introduce yourself to everyone
Okay.
here on Real Talk. Those who are live with us, I so value that they choose to give up their time an hour on a Sunday,
Yes.
so that we can learn from one another. What is life if we're just in our own little bubble and trying to thrive on our own, but instead gain from one another? So over to you, my beautiful.
Um,
Tell them about yourself, Venice, and why this topic is so important to you. Know yourself first, a healing journey.
Ooh, okay. First of all, thank you so much again, Marcianne, for having me. And thank you all so much, everyone that's here, that's listening, and that is going to listen to the replay. As Marcianne stated, my name is Vanice McCoy. I used to be known more so as the career alignment coach, so to speak. And that was wonderful because it goes into some of the elements, of identity and everything. But then I found myself, even though I was going within like the elements of like identity or more so going into like the career alignment aspect, I found myself being misaligned at home. And that was being misaligned at home in regards to the marriage that I left. And so within that, I was like, well, how in the world can I be misaligned, in all of these particular areas? Like I've been misaligned at home now, within relationships. I've also been misaligned. At work, and I found that formula, but it's like, okay, so I'm the common denominator here. What in the world is going on? Of course, you're the common denominator and not necessarily pointing at yourself, but you do have to take responsibility for, some of the misalignment. And so, um, and I started asking myself, who am I? And asking God, who am I? And not just within the whole identity of Christ aspect, because Marsha Ann she knows who she is in Christ. I know who I am in Christ, but me as an individual. And so I just knew that I know that there are so many other women that are lost as well, that are really trying to like find themselves. Either they're within a marriage or either they're trying to get out of a marriage, or they're listening to just all of the dialogue that's constantly fed into them that says, this is what a wife looks like, or this is what, because that's what it was, honestly, Marsha, and that's how I got lost. I was listening to the narrative that was constantly drilled to me as within a child. Within school, I had a horrible situation for church or from a teacher. A teacher had told me that I would never amount to anything and that I wouldn't be successful, right? And so what did they teach us success when I was in school? If you go to school, if you go to college, you're going to be successful. And so I had constantly fixated my mind like on that, right? Okay, I got to get this degree. I got to get this degree. And I was neglecting learning who I was at the time, as well as within church. The church is saying, you got to be a wife, you got to be. And so you're constantly learning, okay, well, then a wife is this way. Let me read Proverbs 31, or let me read this, and let me make sure. They told me that I have to be submissive, and they told me I have to, do this and that, a woman is supposed to be quiet and all these different things. And so I had this constant, I would say external peace, but internal turmoil because
Mm.
everyone else is happy and I'm making everybody else happy, but I'm not happy because I don't even know who it is that I am. And so that's where I am right now, going on this journey now that I have thankfully gotten out of the marriage. It was an abusive marriage, in regards to finances, in regards to spirituality, as well as in regards to being, physical. It was physically abusive and everything. And I'm just on a journey of healing right now. So that's why, you asked, why does it mean so much to me? Because I want to go back and save that one other woman that's possibly still trapped, or save that other woman that could possibly become trapped
Right.
due to the narrative that is constantly fed into us as women.
Wow. The narrative is real though.
Mm-hmm.
And the narrative then becomes this script which we aim to live up to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in any area of life.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head. What does success look like? And are we living success according to our terms, or what society has said, or what our family has said, or
Mm-hmm.
the values that you were raised with?
Right.
Right? And you made such a powerful point, because external peace, making it all appear to be together, and internal turmoil
Mm-hmm.
is really a quiet storm.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And you smiling on the outside, because honey, I can smile with the best of them, and you will never know what it is that's going on. I'm a constant, joyful individual. Like I laugh and all that, but it's some things, that I was going through. No one knew what I was going through, like at home. Sometimes people knew, in regards, because that's a little bit more, it's kind of personal. I want to talk about it. I'm supposed to just pray through it, and I'm supposed to just fast and all that. I'm not supposed to be. I'm supposed to keep everybody on the outside. It's a little bit easier to talk about, some of the workplace discrimination. It's a little bit easier, to talk about, they discriminated because, it was because of my hair, or because of the things that they've said to me. It's like, okay, that's a little bit easier. But this other part right here, this other part that's dealing with the fact that, I had stayed and that I swallowed, and I was constantly digesting that narrative, and that I stuck within it. I had to, those values and things that they instilled in me. It's like I had to figure, okay, well, do I really does that work for me still?
Right.
Like, do I really, how does that value sit in with me, to just sit up here and just to be quiet?
Mhm.
Because you get mad at myself. It's like, now, Nisi, Venice, good and daggone well you can fight. Like, why? And so you get mad at yourself. Why are you sitting up here putting up with this? And so it's like, well, you know what, that doesn't work for me anymore. I don't want that. And it's not to say that, like, I still love the Lord. I do know that He still heard my cry and all that, and I still love Him. But it's certain ways that people will choose to preach the word, to manipulate it in order to gain and maintain control, and manipulation. And I'm like, you know what? Some of this just does not sit right with me. And if I disturb some of those individuals that are still preaching this narrative, then so be it, because I'm coming for that woman that is still hurt and that's literally dying on that, in your pulpit. Because I was literally dying. I'm
Yeah.
coming for that woman that's sitting up there and she's still preaching, and she's still singing, I'm saying, praises to your name, but yet she's dying on the inside, and she's wondering, does God really still love me? He's saying that I have to stick through this, and he's saying that he hates divorce, and stuff like that. I said, you know what, well, God also doesn't like, for I'm his daughter, first of all. Okay,
Exactly.
I'm his daughter, and he also doesn't like for me to be in turmoil. He doesn't like for me to be abused. And if that's what you want to submit to, then you submit to that, while I go ahead and I free myself and free everybody else.
Right. Listen, you got to call it what it is.
Mhm.
Because truth be told, in the midst of that turmoil, because you value marriage,
Mm.
value the institution of marriage, you know that you are connected to God and you want to do what God says, you would endure so much more and longer believing that you are in a position to make that radical change.
Yeah.
But truth be told, the courage, I mean, I applaud you for the courage. I am telling you, I hear your heart fully. I know my journey. And I
Mhm.
can tell you that the decision to choose yourself becomes so important as God will hold your hand along that journey.
Yeah. And he
You know?
will, because
Yeah.
he's guided me along it, and he's continued to guide me along with it as well. And so, right now that's one of the things that I'm doing is constantly healing. And one of the questions that this is one of the things that I have on my board. And I'm not quite sure if it's going to show. Oh, it actually shows. Can you read
Yes.
that? Oh, look, I thought it was going to be backwards.
No, it's showing.
I'm like, oh my gosh, it shows.
Showing. It is showing.
So let me back up a little bit. So this
If you
is,
go too far, we're not going to be able to see though. Oh,
okay. So I'll put it right here.
here. Right.
So this is something that I wrote for myself about, what's most important to me in my healing, right? And so I ask myself before I interact, while I'm interacting, and after the interaction, how do the following impact my healing? And so it's like me learning myself, and this healing, this journey is like, okay, well, how does this person, this activity, this event, this place, this conversation, this book, this purchase, this food, this song, how do these things impact me in my healing? And that is what I believe has what has been helping me, as well as with prayer, but it's been helping me in me figuring out really who it is that I am. Because when I start seeing, the persons, the persons can go along with conversations, right? Because those, they go hand in hand together. And so um it can be very challenging. You sit and you talk with someone and you figure out you have to be very, very aware as well, and listen to yourself and listen to your body. And so, I actually had someone that's very well known within my community, a man, and I hadn't really even disclosed what it was, that I had like been through, and he had heard it through someone else that I had shared with, in confidence. And so he's like, and this is a preacher. And so he had stated, well, maybe I don't know if it was because of you, the abuse, that I went through. And I'm like, because of me, there is nothing that I said and there is nothing that I did to cause my ex to literally put his hands around my neck and almost strangle me to death. But
Mm.
I sat with it. I sat with that. And so those are particular conversations, and people, and it lets me know, okay, so you're not into the whole gaslighting phenomenon, right, Venice? Oh, okay. So be on the lookout for individuals that won't allow the abuser to take responsibility for their particular actions, and they blame it like on the victim or whatever, per se. And so he had also stated, there's nothing against it, but he had also stated that he could aid or help me within like my healing. And I'm like, some of the church, I'm not gonna put them all up underneath one umbrella and generalize, because I don't like when people generalize me as a woman or me as a Black woman. But I'm like, you know what? Some of the reason why I was in this because I adopted some of the narratives of the church, and I spoke about it to my counselor. I said, you know what? That's not something that I don't want that help. It's like I don't think that that's going to help me heal.
Right.
And so I have to pay attention to how, and I sat with it. I'm a very internal processor. Like, I think internally. I don't necessarily like come out with what it is that because I'm processing inside. So it might look like I might be like quiet, or maybe that I'm in agreement with something, but I'm not necessarily. It's just that I'm processing like, so what sits, do I like this? Do I not like this? Okay, well then why don't you like this? Write out your emotions. But what is it that you really don't like about this thing that the person said? What is it about that rubbed you the wrong way? And so those are the things on how I can learn the type of person that I am, and the type of people that I need to avoid, that I don't need to have within my circle, as well as the conversations that I don't need to have as well, right?
That is such a powerful point, though, because the truth is we need to be able to select who we connect with.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not meant to be in your, not just your circle, but even beyond your circle. There are some people that you will feel instinctively
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable, agitated, or they're misaligned with you. And if I have been very particular about my values, and I have
Yes.
grown to understand that because of misalignment with my value system, things that do not work well, it's
Mm-hmm.
because they were not aligned to my values.
Yeah. And you just accepted them because of whatever said narrative, whether it was something that you adopted from, church, or something that you adopted, from work. It was something that was adopted that doesn't necessarily belong in who it
Correct.
is that Marsha Ann is.
Correct.
And so, yeah, you're right. Values is definitely something there. And even though we're still talking about, this part of my healing journey, it goes hand in hand. Just, a lot of times what we're doing is we're like, and I'm going to use this analogy, but I'm going to bring it back to like different relationships as well, in regards to like work. And you're looking to like go for like a career, and it's like, okay, well, you need to define what it is that's significant to you first, your significance, before you call yourself aligning with that particular like job or that particular like agency, right? And you look, and but the reason why you go for it is because they say, oh, they're a Fortune 100, 500, company or whatever, right? Or what, oh, such and such work there, or this person worked there, and it's like, and do their values align with your values? First of all, do you even know what your values are? Have you even sat down to write those specific things down? And so when you don't do that, it bleeds over. When you don't have that, it's going to bleed over in multiple areas of your life. When you don't take the time to sit down and write out the values that you have. What are your top values? What are the things that don't matter to you? What are the things that that will disrupt or cause disruption, within you? Don't making sure that somebody said that, oh girl, he fine. Oh girl, he got, he make ABC XYZ money, or I'm saying he's going here and this is what his pathway is. And what they got to do with you?
Amen.
He prays, and
And
that's gonna make some people mad. Oh, he prayed. My ex-husband prayed too. Oh, he goes to church. My ex-husband went to church too. And it's like it's so much more, just because you might have the same faith or whatever, just because you might pray at the same time, or just because you might read some of the same scriptures. It is so much more than that. What is it that they are getting from those particular scriptures? You know what I'm saying? What narrative are they going to constantly? Because it's like, praise Lord that I didn't have no babies, that I said, you know what? If I tap my arm, and people don't know. So I tap my arm because that was the last time that I got birth control, right? When this situation happened, we were in the moment of deciding, kind of sort of like, am I going to, am I not? And I was going back and forth, and I had a car accident that I was still healing from, and that I'm honestly still healing from to this day. And I thank the Lord for that car accident that I had. But, we were getting ready to, and I had actually taken myself off of birth control. And then I called my doctor back up. I said, give me the strongest thing that you got. Give me the strongest thing that you got. And she's like, we just took you off. I said, I know. And I hadn't disclosed anything with her. I had only disclosed it with my counselor. But it was just that, I couldn't see myself co-creating life with someone that almost took my life, and wanted to gaslight me for it, and didn't take responsibility, wasn't trying to seek help or anything, because everyone makes mistakes. I'm totally aware of that, and he needed to get his healing and all that. But I wanted to work with him, but he didn't want to do like any acknowledgement. And so, like I said, what is the narrative that it is? What is it that he's getting and receiving based upon his perception, based upon his perspective, what is it that he's getting? Sometimes people's perception and the perspective is skewed because of lack of healing, because they haven't adopted their own healing journey and stuff, and they're constantly, absorbing the same narratives of whatever that you've been fed. And so, I had to ask myself, I said, well, you know what? How can I, be preaching, to my daughter or to my son, know your worth, and honor your worth and all this stuff when I didn't make sure that I honored mine. And that's how I had you.
Wow.
When I didn't hold my ex-husband accountable to make sure that he acknowledged my worth as well. Mm-hmm. How can I tell them to go ahead and get healing from the things that unfortunately they will have to go through in life, because life is a journey? Mm-hmm. But how can I do that? And so it's like, well, if he wants me to stay through this and be the quote unquote ride or die chick or whatever, then he's going to expect his baby girl, my daughter or my son, to stick in the same abusive things. Mm-hmm. So I might have been silent with some of the stuff, but I'm processing and writing and going through this stuff on my own. I said, you know what? I can't instill these same things, in my daughter. If, if I was like, if I have one, I said, I can't have one with him until he actually, gets that. And so it's like, those values are for you. Those values are, and now granted, your children can create their own values, and right, they will, but it's like, well, what is it that you're actually going to give to them to recycle, and for them to say, okay, this part I liked, this part I didn't like. What if they hold on to something that you should have gotten rid of, that you should have killed, that you should have thrown away? And, and so that's why it's like, it's not just about me. Although this healing journey is for me, that healing journey is for the little girls that I'm going to have to talk to, whether they be my daughter or not, whether I have children or not. I have children through other people.
Right.
And so it's like, I have to make sure that the things that I'm spitting to them, the things that I'm preaching to them, that I'm being true to that. I can't sit up here and tell you to do this, tell you, and I'm not. That's why I said, well, let me just take a sit back and do some healing, because I can't be sitting up here talking about career alignment and I'm up here funky misaligned at home.
Right. Right. And so often there is that public charade, the public success, the public parading with chronic private failure.
Yeah.
And I use the word failure, I don't use it loosely, because I believe it's about lessons, right? Yeah. And so, to the point of seemingly everything is fine, but what is it that is so much of a turmoil within your life? And it does not have to be a relationship. I mean, it could be so many other things, right? But what is it that is a turmoil in one's life that would afford them to really have this volcano taking place on the inside? Misaligned, unfulfilled, unhappy, no peace, no joy. But hold on, let me just fix myself up for the public. No.
Right.
And sometimes it means getting radical. And radical includes, I shared earlier this morning a post about embracing that we have to prune. There is absolutely nothing that will produce a good harvest, a great bloom, without pruning.
Yeah.
And some things have to get cut. You talk about the gaslighting and, folks not taking responsibility. Somebody just said on here, the victim blame is real.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yes, honey. The victim blame is real, and it's real from the abuser, but it's also real from other individuals that have not ever gone through it at all. You might hear something like, well, why did you stay? If he did that, Are you, first of all, like, are you sure? No, I'm not sure. I just couldn't swallow for 3+ days without my throat hurting.
Mm.
It's like people, they will, question you, and so it makes you question yourself. I couldn't. And people will say, and you got to be careful when you say this. Oh, I would never, or I wish he would. No, you don't. Because no individual really knows what it is that they would do in
Right.
said situation until they're in that particular situation. And it's
Mhm.
like I said, it's like, it's not like I can't fight, but you get mad at yourself, looking back. And it's like, who is thinking about, I'm living with my husband, I'm in the bed, and who is thinking about, I have to be on guard because of my, what I'm saying, I gotta be like, who's thinking about wanting to fight their, what I'm saying, like, no one. You shouldn't have to think about that, or that's why that's why I got caught off guard, but but I was misaligned. What I'm saying, is a thing. But yeah, people will, even women, and when I say, and when we speaking of victim, it's not just women, I'm speaking to, yeah, a lot of women. But yeah, there are women that are, abusers, as well. It's, in any of that facet that I've stated, whether it's spiritual, whether it's verbal, emotional, whether it's spiritual, physical, financial, any of those particular things. But yeah, that victim blame is real. Or, you should have, or I should have. You might even start blaming yourself. I should have prayed harder.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
should have fasted just one more time.
Mhm.
Because I know that's what I was. I used to talk to myself or whatever. During that. Well, maybe I should have extended just a little bit more love, or maybe I should have just been a little bit more submissive. And it's like, that's not what it is. You could submit yourself to your grave, honey.
Mhm.
You can pray yourself. There is nothing that you can do with someone that won't acknowledge the own demons that they need to kill themselves. If they won't acknowledge that themselves. And that was one of the things, Marsha Ann, that allowed me to leave, because I was praying, and I was thinking about the story in the Bible. I was thinking about Jonah. Right. So when I used to pray about how God, swallowed up Jonah in the well because he was being disobedient, right? And so I was like, why won't you chase him, God? Why won't
Mhm.
I'm praying. I was just like, Lord, do this. And so I was praying about it, and one of the things that God has said to me is, what, I gave him a choice. I give free will, and that's what he does. He gives us free will to choose him. And so, after I sat with that and I wrote about it and I talked to my counselor about it, I realized, I said, oh, okay, well, free will, choice. If he gave him free will choice, well, then God gave me free will choice as well.
Mhm.
Well, then you're gonna have to make a decision on whether or not you're gonna live in hell or you're gonna escape and get the heck up out of Dodge.
Mhm.
And so it's like I had already, told him the things. I need you to get help, and I need you to put me as number 2 in your life after God, before your family. Those are some other different values that was just off as well, in regards to allowing his family to say baby, 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 baby. And I'm just now learning how to walk again from the car accident. And the doctor even said, that we shouldn't, have children yet anyway, because you're still healing and it's going to make things worse. But you're constantly allowing your family to say and do and treat, however. And I was just trying to swallow the whole, a soft word.
Yeah.
Let me be quiet. And I want to say it's in Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes. I'm not necessarily, giving you the reason to fight. But what I am going to say is that in Ecclesiastes, it does say that there's a time and a place for everything. So there is a time to be quiet, and there's a time to open up your mouth and say, hello, here comes a big surprise.
Mhm.
Whatever the surprise is, you have to go ahead and say that, and you have to be at peace with it to go ahead and free yourself. And so the choices in life goes hand in hand as well, with those values that we were speaking about. Those help to identify you as well, because if you continue on these particular same choices and choosing these same people and choosing the same narrative, yeah, that's affecting who it is that you are and who you're becoming. It affects your destiny. It impacts positively or negatively, the journey that you're on. You're going to stay on that same path because you're going to keep on those same choices, or you're going to go ahead and maneuver and go and create another journey,
Mm-hmm.
create another destiny for yourself. And you just got to give yourself permission. God already gave you permission.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And give yourself grace in the process.
Grace, honey. Grace, honey. I had to forgive myself for staying, I was trying to, I was giving, a lot of times we as women, sometimes we can give grace more to other individuals more than we give to ourselves. And that was one thing that I was doing. I was constantly, that was a part of why I stayed. You know what? But 70 times seven, the deliver, that's how many times he forgives us, and all that. And I would want someone to, if I was having some type of problem, and that's the thing that we do, Marsha and everyone that's listening, is it's like we're providing some extended form of grace that we're not even extended to ourselves, as well as the fact you're not even going to do that to yourself. You wouldn't even do that to somebody else. And so it's just like you have to really understand your worth. You have to understand your worth. You have to understand your value, and you have to honor it and stay true to it. Because it's like I said, it's like, okay, yeah, you would want someone to give you grace in this. But in real, if you did this, wouldn't you take acknowledgement? Wouldn't you go ahead and not just take acknowledgement, when you go ahead and try to make it work?
Right.
Wouldn't you go ahead and get help
Right.
to figure out, hey, what what caused me to trigger? You know what I'm saying? What caused that trigger? Now, granted, his stuff was some healing that he hadn't gone through because of war as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Is that my fault? No. You can offer all of the understanding. You can offer all of the prayers. You can offer that shoulder for somebody to cry on if they're not too big and prideful to cry. Um, but if they're not going to acknowledge it, if they're not going to go ahead and get the help, honey, save yourself,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you are killing yourself and practicing assisted secondhand homicide or whatever, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going ahead and stand because I was literally dying.
Mm. The courage to have pressed exit. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a very big thing. And so the preservation of your healing, because that alone is something you have to cradle yourself. One is forgiving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke about the importance of things like people and what the music that you listen to, what you read, what you watch, what you need to disassociate with as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you're walking away from, those particular like activities, those conversations, those places. I even realized that right now it's not healthy for me to go to weddings.
Right.
And I didn't, and it's so crazy. Like I didn't realize it until I had went to a wedding. It was my cousin's wedding, and I can't even remember the song. I texted like to one of my friends, and I literally started like crying out. It's okay to cry at a wedding. It's okay to cry anyway. But I was like, I have to walk away. It made me just like so emotional. Some of the music that was like being played, and I was like, I have to leave. I went and I sat in the car and just cried.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even, sometimes you don't even realize what said triggers, are until, you experience them. And I said, okay. So because I said, no weddings for now. And there was another one that I was supposed to attend, and another like 2 or 3 weeks after that, I said, no, thank you for the invite, but I'm not going to the wedding.
But that's so important though, Venice, because once you know, it's also knowing that saying no to some things is a statement, it's a sentence, it's a paragraph, it's a chapter. No.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't have the capacity for that right now, without an explanation either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You don't, why? Because I said so.
Right.
What your mama used to tell you? Because I said so.
Right.
You got to adopt it because I said so.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to sit with that. You have to sit with displeasing others to learn how to please yourself. You got to sit with that.
That's so
Because
important.
you spend so much time being taught and adopting pleasing others. You're pleasing your teachers, you're pleasing your parents, you're pleasing the church, you're pleasing your husband. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to serve. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is that it shouldn't be to the extent of um exasperating, yourself. It shouldn't be to the extent of the death of you, or to the extent of you don't even know yourself, to the extent that you don't have any time for you. That's in addition to after you've already been like full yourself. You can't because you honestly, you're not even really serving, to be honest. Like, you're not even serving to the extent that you need to serve it if you're not even whole yourself. I'm just being real, like, for real, because you're serving off of fumes.
Right. But then
And
you
they
also
are.
could be serving off of resentment. In other words, you're doing it,
Ooh,
but there is resentment in doing it, but you're
yeah.
doing it because.
Mm-hmm. And you might not even know that you're in resentment. Why? Because God loves a cheerful giver. So I'm just gonna continue to be, and you be suppressing them daggone emotions, knowing good and daggone well you unhappy. No, you have to. The cheerfulness definitely comes from the heart. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mocking the scripture at all for anyone that's listening. God does love a cheerful giver, but give it for real if you are cheerful. Don't give it out of the resentment because someone said so. It's like, he knows your heart before
Right.
anybody. He, like, you can fake it to everybody else all you want to. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you faked it to them, like at the church. Maybe you faked it in the marriage. Maybe you faked it like at work or whatever. But he knows. Trust me, God knows. And on that, deep down on the inside, too, if you sit with yourself long enough and take some time to write and go ahead and release, all of that steam, release all of this, that you're suppressing and whatnot. It's it's there.
Mhm. It's such an important exercise to do. And I think that if there is something that we need to even teach our younger ladies, our young women, because I'm calling it out specifically as women, because we are born and we are nurturers by nature.
Mm-hmm.
So if something is broken, we just believe we can fix it,
Yeah.
right? Whether that's at home or whether that's at work. No, 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 give it to me. It's broken. Bring it over
I got it.
here. I got this. I can fix it,
I was doing
right?
something else, but that's okay. I got it. I'll just put that
Exactly.
aside.
Exactly.
I'll make time.
Yeah, but it's so important to distinguish what you said earlier, that our worth needs to be so cemented that we must know what we deserve
Mm-hmm.
and stand up to what we deserve, because all of us at some point would be able to say, whether personally or professionally, regardless of the relationship, whether it's a marriage or within your family or within your circle of friends, what have I done? What have I tolerated at the expense of my worth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have I accepted being paid less
Mm.
because, I didn't think I was worth it to fight for?
Mm.
Have I accepted entertaining friendships that don't align with me because I have romanticized the number of years that this
For
friendship has
years.
been,
Yes.
right? Have I stuck out with a marriage because, oh, it's the right thing to do? I want to celebrate the number of years I've been in the marriage, but you know deep down that it's
Mm-hmm.
not been one that's healthy and serving you. There's so many examples of where we have compromised our worth
Yeah.
for the sake of, well, for the peace of everything. Let me just keep going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
So the healing journey must be accepting that if it is that your worth has been diminished because of what you have been able to accept or tolerate. This is about giving yourself grace
Yeah.
to understand that pieces of your past have brought you here. But now, what are the lessons? How are
Hmm.
we going to learn? And embrace letting go is okay,
Yeah.
regardless of what.
Hmm.
Sometimes it means letting go to say, I'm now going to speak up for self. That's a
Yeah.
part of letting go, to go, hold on a second. I got to take control here.
Yeah. And it's so I like that you said that. I'm about to go to the dictionary real quick and to read this definition for you. You were saying you were speaking about letting go, right?
Mhm.
Um, and one of the things that they were speaking about within healing, let me click on it. Okay, yeah. And so one of the things that I didn't necessarily like about it, in regards to the dictionary.com, and for me, my whole healing has been self-discovery. Like that's how I um more so define it. And the reason why is because this is from dictionary.com. It says that I get the whole, make healthy, whole or sound, but when it says to restore, there are
Mhm.
some things that I want to restore about myself, but there are a lot of things that I don't want to restore. And the
Right.
reason why is because if I restore and I return to that, then I am going to attract those same people, attract that same environment, attract that same music, attract that same hurt. And so that's why it's like, no, I'm not, that's not, I don't adopt that one. I don't adopt that one. Cause someone said, you'll be fine. I forgot I had a friend and, and it's nothing against her, but she had, spoken, that, I hope that you get back to normal. And I said, oh no, there is no back to normal for me. That is gone. And it's just like, well, don't let someone change you. No, 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 no. Who it was that I was is who I should not have been in the first place.
It's who you were at that time.
Yeah, at that time, and
It's
that's
not,
who I
it's
should
just
not
not who
have.
you will be going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like, no, you have to, and you have to kill, don't resurrect that
Mhm.
particular, individual. Have that grave burial site and say your farewells to that person. And if they ask, multiple individuals ask, where is that particular person at? Oh, I killed her.
Mhm. Mhm. Because that's not who you are anymore.
She don't live here no more.
Right. Right.
You can
Right.
you can go to. I can tell you what a grave site is.
But that's not who you are.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm a brand new. I was telling my counselor. I said I'm a brand new creature. Is what I keep on saying.
But that's important.
It
That's
is.
important because if we do not learn the lessons and embrace the importance of evolving,
Hmm.
then we are literally in a time warp, trapped in being the same person 5 years or 10 years ago or 2 years ago without the concept of life is a metamorphosis
Yeah. Oh, it
and
is.
change is constant.
And you have to embrace it. You have to
Yeah.
embrace it. So much, so much. Uh, I am very, very leery right now of anyone that I might find myself attracted to or that might find themselves attracted to me. I don't want a relationship right now, sis. I
Right.
don't, because I'm still healing. And the reason, for that is because I'm like, now granted, even though healing is a journey and there are steps and process to this, I am in a very crucial part of my healing in the sense that I'm still learning these whole elements of who Vanice is. And
Mhm.
so for that reason, I don't want to attract that same individual that I just ran away from.
Mhm.
And I don't want you to be attracted to that same individual that attracted the same individual that I just ran away from. Like I'm very, very leery of that. It's like, okay, well, okay, he cute, and it's like, stay away, stay away. And it's not like I'm necessarily, I mean, in a sense, I am withdrawn, and I have to withdraw to stay within a cocoon of healing. Um, But it's like I'm not necessarily afraid of relationships, you know, per se, but I'm afraid of not healing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm afraid of not knowing who it is that I am and
Right.
not embracing this journey. That's what it is that I'm afraid of, and that's what it is. So therefore I'm going to concentrate and fixate my mindset on what are other things, you know, healing wise, um what are my, one of the other things, about your whole, identity and about who it is that you are. It's like you have to really also think about, okay, what are the things that you are passionate about? Like what are the things that you want to achieve?
Right.
It can't just be you just helping someone else to achieve their goals. What about your goals? What are the things that you dream about accomplishing? The people that you dream about helping and mentoring, the people that you want to pour into. Does this person distract you from that?
Mhm.
Or can you guys help each other on this particular path?
Mhm.
Are you a distraction to theirs?
Right.
Y'all both could be distractions. And this isn't putting one person below or above the other. It's just in regards to the fact that y'all just don't align. That's all.
Alignment is key,
Yeah.
but that's in everything too.
And everything. You don't even know you ain't aligned if you don't know yourself. That's why you're gonna be attaching and hooking yourself up with this person, that belief, because you don't even know who the heck it is that you are.
Facts.
And I'm like, I'm not doing it no more.
Yeah. Yeah. Rediscovering yourself is important. Yes. Boom. It's important
Mm-hmm.
because so much can also get buried over the years because it's like adding dirt on top of you're in survival mode.
Yeah.
When you are in a toxic environment, you're in survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're busy coping, but you are not even dreaming.
Mm-mm. No, you're not.
You're not really
You
even
just
dreaming
merely
of
surviving. You
having
ain't
a
living.
purpose. You are functioning,
Mm-hmm.
not flourishing.
At all. At all. And you have to really, really embrace. I was just talking to one of my friends earlier today about, gosh, man, I just wanted to be so much further along, right now. It's like I left next month, it'll be at the end of next month, it'll be a year since I physically left. And
Wow.
I finally got my divorce, I want to say in April of this year.
Wow.
But I had physically left, and it's like, gosh, it's almost a year. I should be so much further. And it's like you have to give yourself grace. When I added up, I was like, okay, the whole extent of the relationship, girl, was basically 8 years. When you add in the whole, so it's like, so you really thought that you was about to be all the way healed in 1 year from 8. I honestly thought that it was gonna be 3 months, sis. I
Mhm.
did not want to take no daggone break at all.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
You're on.
Okay. It had like froze and did something or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to take no break like at all. Like I didn't want to, but I had to like listen to the voice, that I heard. I had heard God say pause in the midst while we were in our program together.
Mhm.
And it was before I had left. I was getting ready to launch the program again. I was getting ready to start this whole marketing, whatever campaign and all that different stuff. And God was like, pause.
Mhm.
And I was like, pause? What you talking about?
So important though. Why don't you give examples of things that you can pause from while you're on a healing journey? Could mean
Ooh,
coming off of social, disconnecting some of the connections that are familiar to you that would be triggering for you. Talk about that to help us.
so the pause for me has been sometimes I will uninstall WhatsApp. And this isn't just for that time within that month. Like it's a journey. So I repeat these whenever I feel like I need to get more in tune like with God, or I have been triggered or something like that. I'll go ahead and I withdraw to take that break. So I withdraw from all uninstall WhatsApp. So the way I don't get one, my phone already has, like, I don't have any notifications on my phone. When I
Okay.
want to go check that app is when I'm going to go check that app. When I want to go see if you called me and I got a missed call, like I'll see it if I'm looking at my phone, but that stuff is like on silent because it's like no, I'm like, this is, I'm not fit to be constantly like unreachable and stuff like that. I need to work on myself.
Right.
So y'all uninstall WhatsApp, I uninstall Facebook, I uninstall Instagram. You know, I uninstalled those particular, you know, social media apps and whatnot. Um, I will go on spurts. I've even you know, checked myself into a hotel just to just be away for those particular times that I am, you know, taking a break, that I am like pause, and I'll check myself into a hotel like for a weekend, and I'll literally like just read, just write, just worship.
Amen.
Those are the things you know, that I like concentrated and that I'll fixate myself on. You know, it's kind of a little bit easy to an extent, depending on who the person is, to withdraw from certain events as well, you know. And it's not necessarily that they are triggering, but it's like sometimes when you hear so much, you can't even hear and process yourself and process what it is that God has said to you. And so it's like, well, let me just shut everybody else up and not even go, you know, somewhere, because I like going to poetry night. You know, it's one of the things that I like. But I'll probably go like maybe like once a month, if even that much, just because I just need to heal. You know, I just need to concentrate on hearing and listening to my body and listening to what it is that God is saying and telling me to do. Um, yeah, so that's one of the places, you know, some of like the events. And this one is an ongoing one. Oh yeah, I said I've talked about music. I love me some Anita Baker. Oh, I love me some Anita Baker. But there are certain songs that she has like sung that I was like, oh girl, that's not what I'm singing.
Not
Like,
today. Not today.
I don't want it to be, I don't want it to be another what is, I forgot one of the ones that she was singing. But she said something about that there'll never be anyone else like him or something and all this. And I was just like, that's my prayer. I don't want it to be anybody else like him. That's exactly what I'm going for. Like,
I like that.
never
Someone
again.
says, pause. You have to pause and realign. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pause
you have
and
to,
realign.
and it's not that like I love me some Anita Baker. There's some, but for right now in this particular season in my life, those
Sure.
particular songs, like I just can't, you know. Um,
It's important to embrace that we do go through seasons. We just think it's literally for the weather, but our life is cyclical.
mhm.
We go through
Oh, it
seasons,
is.
and I would like us to dismantle romanticizing that one season needs to be like forever. Like, if you know
Yeah.
you're in the season of change, and that is from God, and that is for you to be realigned with something, and this is anything at all, get
Mhm.
still. The mental state is so important for the healing process. Absolutely.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
can we just also talk about how busyness is a mechanism to drown out what you
You're
need
gonna
to
stay
face?
trapped.
You will
You're
stay
gonna stay
trapped.
trapped on the same daggone thing if you stay busy. No, 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 no. You can't do that. You have to withdraw. And I know some people go ahead and do it and they push through it, you know, and some people do. But for me, in my personal life and my personal journey, no, I've found success in going ahead and backing up and just going ahead and withdrawing. And I had just taken away not doing like as much counseling because I was getting better. But then it's like now I'm at the part where I am going to heal and go through, because some of the stuff will kick up, sis. Some of the
Right.
stuff will kick up after you've escaped the environment. I started having like even more panic attacks and everything. And so it's like, well, boo, you ain't got nothing. You better sit your tail down. You better go ahead and sit down, because you can't, be sitting up here trying to talk and help someone in the midst, and then your hands start shaking and then you can't breathe in the midst of it. And so it's like you have to listen to your body. Listen to your body. Go ahead and get that counseling. That's a part of throwing these things out to fill it up with the things that do bring you healing. It's like, okay, I might not be going to these particular events anymore, but what's something that does bring me some type of healing, getting one with nature. I love going and finding myself a creek and sitting next to the creek and not with everybody else. I literally like to go to the creek and just be there by myself. And sometimes I'm going to sing to God. Sometimes I'm going to pray to God. Sometimes I'm just going to sit there in silence. Sometimes I'll bring my journal and I'll write. But just to sit there and just embrace the quietness, listening to the birds and just listening to just like the stream, the water just flow. It's really healing, and it's really soothing, to me. Those are the things that has helped me, like I said, counseling, going to the creek, meditating, those things, are very, very helpful for me. Journaling has been a huge, I've always been a writer. Um, um, and I just, you have to write and get that stuff out and release it. Believe it or not, coloring. My counselor started getting me to color, and I can't remember which one it is. I might be more left brain or right brain dominant, but I can find myself sitting down at the creek coloring, and literally nothing is going on, and I'll find myself start crying.
Hmm.
And I told my counselor that, and she said, because it was the first time that I went ahead and did it, and she said, "Well, that's because you're tapping into the other hemisphere, the creative side. A lot of times you write, and you get that out, and so there's other parts of you that still needs the healing, and you get that with tapping into this other side right here, and so that is what helps release even more tears of
Wow.
meditation, as well as like the coloring helps release that, and that was something that I picked up that I never knew, but it's like almost each time that like I cry and I go and I sit alone by myself, I do that. I create
Interesting.
boundaries. You create boundaries with your family that you love too. You love them, but you have to say, you know what, right now, I don't want to people. Right
Mhm.
now, this weekend is literally all about me.
Mhm.
I've gone on like a whole week where, of course, I speak and talk, but it's like, after work, a little chit chat here and there. And it's like, no, I can't. I love my nephews, but right now, I'm healing me.
Mhm. Wow, that's so powerful to hear, though. That's literally teaching us that if it is that we're going to heal ourselves and to know ourselves, we have to know what works for us. And it's a very individual thing, but
Oh, it
you've
is.
given such great tips, whether it is meditating, journal, your devotion time, you by the creek. For me, it's any body of water. Yes, there are layers of healing, and knowing when to pause. There are folks who will be listening to this who might say, well, I don't have that luxury to do a lot of these things independently. And I think it's time for us to counter and say, you've got to find it. You
Yeah,
have to make it work. So it could be that the environment that you're in doesn't give you a lot of latitude, but maybe it means being at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock when no one else is around,
exactly.
choosing you and working with what you have and working your way through
Hmm.
becomes so very important. But do not be what I'm surmising from this. Do not be so tied to something or to someone at the expense of yourself.
Yeah, don't. You sum that up wonderfully, sis. Wonderfully. Do not. You cannot do that. You will lose weight or you will gain weight, whichever one. I lost so much weight. I had gotten so many grades off up in my head. Um, my finances, I allowed them to jack up my finances. That's one of the other things that I'm healing on in regards to like purchasing. I'm not a spender or anything. I'm really a thrift store person, just like my mom. But he was more fancy and fly. And so gratefully, I've been healing my finances too. Like when I say that I'm healing from the inside out, since I paid off my car this year, since I left, I've been able to pay off my car. And I forgot I had someone else reach out to me in regards to some of the things that I've shared. It was for some like magazine, and she asked for different elements. I want to say I told her that I paid off about 20 or 30 or something like that since like having like left him
Wow.
thousand or whatever. And so I have paid off all of my credit cards. I want to say by January, this loan that I took out for us or whatever, that was gonna be. And so you have to be very, very diligent about saying no, because some of these things might cost some money. Okay, let me say no. I'm not really a spender anyway. Okay, let me just eat some hot links and some noodles so the way I can heal my I'm telling you, I will warm up a hot link with a quickness, warm up some noodles with the quickness, because I'm like, I am healing. I don't like that.
Right.
I am healing. And so you have to figure out what are the areas that need healing.
Right.
That is an area that needs healing, because I was so submissive and allowing him to lead, so to speak, even though I know how to do my own stuff. And it's like created chaos everywhere for you, girl. But yeah, you have to and that's what I'm saying. When you say to the expense of you, shoot, that's one of the things that was to the expense of me. I take pride in knowing how to honor my finances, you know?
Right. Wow. Because you see, honoring, we so dilute the importance of these things, because honoring for you is a form of integrity and character.
Mm-hmm.
So when you suppress that for someone to misalign that, you would never be fulfilled.
Never.
Wow.
And it'll just fade and fade and fade.
Of course.
Don't do it to the extent. It won't feel like nothing at the beginning, but honey, after a couple more choices down the line, I think, what is wrong with me? I just feel so down. I just feel so low. I feel so, and it's just like, heal. Leave and heal.
So important. My goodness, you have given us a lot. I can't believe our time has actually come to that hour mark. Oh my goodness. But Venice, the truth is, how we started is how we will end. And that is really ensuring that we've got to first embrace who we are.
Yes.
And any situation, any person, and we have to accept responsibility, right?
Yeah.
We must know what parts we've played along life's journey. But today it's not about living in regret. It's the opposite. It's about looking at the opportunities that align with where you need to go and taking the lessons and learning. Yes, thanks for putting that together. Do not be so tied to something or someone at the expense of yourself.
Yeah, don't.
I am big right now where I am in my life about the preservation of peace. I'm all about faith and freedom.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is really being true to who you are. And so I would want everyone to embrace their own values, values that you have suppressed for yourself because you're kind of on this big treadmill going so fast where you didn't even know that if you look behind, it's like, when did I get lost? At what part of my life's journey did I lose a part of myself?
Yeah. When did this happen?
Correct. And accept where you are now. Give yourself the grace. Know when you need help, where you need a counselor, because this is not meant to be walked alone.
No.
Know when to zip your lips, because everybody doesn't need to be in your business in any area of life. And know your healing company, because your healing journey comes along with a healing company who is there to pray you through, stay alongside you, but know the things that will help you to heal. So you have really shared so much truth. I so value your transparency. I know also it's your first time that you're choosing to have a conversation like this. So I want everybody to give her a big round of applause, because this was an act of faith on her part, to boldly share, because she has never even shared about her healing journey other than the nuggets that she has put on her personal platform. But when I prayed, I asked that Venice share, because we're all about the mission of at least helping one.
Yeah.
And that's what Real Talk is about. We're not here to fill a stadium. We're not. But if it is whomever I invite on, it's really with the prayer and with the hope. One, to honor those of you who are faithful at joining us live, and it is so appreciated because you could spend your time in any other way.
Yeah.
But it is also for those of you who will share it with someone else. And those who will catch a replay, they might catch it in a week, they might catch it a year from now. But your message has really reminded us that we have to first have the foundation of knowing ourselves and knowing that healing is truly a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And whether it means choosing the people, whether it means choosing the music, whether it means taking alone time, and all of what you shared is applicable to the wholesome self, because before we can showcase ourselves publicly, showcase ourselves at work, so showcase ourselves within social clubs or environments of charity or anything, we've got to be whole with ourselves.
Yeah.
Everything else is a topping. I
Mhm.
shared that earlier. Everything else is a topping.
Oh,
But
yeah.
let's begin to take care of who we are in a wholesome way. So, you've got folks here saying, great dialogue. We love you. That's clearly
Oh.
a dear person of yours, too. Others have dropped in that says you have shared such phenomenal gems. And so, for this episode of Real Talk, as we wrap up, we just ask God to give us the strength, ask God to give us the courage to face the things that we need to face.
Mhm.
Because the truth is, life is not a dress rehearsal.
No.
And if we're going to live it and live it wholeheartedly and live it with purpose and passion and with prosperity, we need to face the things that we need to prune,
Yeah.
right? We need to face the things that no longer serve us. And we need to embrace that yes, you are that whole pizza, my love. You're a whole pizza. Everything else is a topping.
Yes.
Nothing completes you. Only God can complete us. Everything else complements us.
Right.
And so, yes, healing is a journey for all of us, but we must first embrace where we are on our life's journey. And we must say to ourselves, I read a quote a couple of days ago that would remind us, let us not get to the end of our days living in regret for what we should have done.
Yeah.
And belaboring it, but instead praying for the courage to do what we ought to do. That this life of ours is not just a blessing for ourselves, but for generations to come.
Yeah.
So, on this episode of Real Talk, we end by saying, do what you know you need to do and ensure that you choose yourself. And so it's with you and God. Take the time out after you've listened to this episode and really ensure that you are truly living the life that you're called to live, a life of purpose, passion, and prosperity. And until the next episode, let us remember that Real Talk is all about this space where we engage, encourage, and empower one another to live this one life, not the best life only, but this one life. And that includes knowing yourself and enjoying your healing journey. So thank you so much for making it.
Thank
Until
you.
the next episode, you all be blessed, walk in your purpose, do what you know you need to do to include prune where you need to prune so that you can bloom. Take care, be blessed. Venice, stay on so that I can connect with you after. Everyone else, thanks for joining. Remember, please go ahead and share this episode. Just take the effort to forward to someone else, because someone else needs to be liberated today in some area of their life that they can truly live the life that God has called them to live, which is to thrive, not merely survive. Take care, be blessed.